because I'm waiting on Faz. So basically, we're going to go right into it. It's Don McLeod for B Now, and it is Thursday, the 13th of October. A lot happening in Brampton today. We're going to get into it very soon. But in the meantime, as I said, I am waiting for Faz, and he seems to have just joined us. Faz, how you doing? You're on a live stream right now, right?
I'm good, Don, and thanks for operating the machines today.
No problem. It looks like you're, stuck in traffic somewhere in Brampton? Is that the idea?
I had to pull over to the side of the road. I'm actually in the driver's seat, so I'm off to the side of the road, parked, safe and sound.
All right, good. So I got two things. I can go right to Dennis, or we can talk. What do you want to do?
Let's talk about Elaine Moore. I want to talk about Elaine Moore.
Okay. So today was a slow day in Brampton politics, as you well know. It's there was nothing major. Just that we had a meltdown from one of the organizers of the mayoral candidate, Nikki Carr, that's running, and then she decides to go to Queen's Park with Elaine Moore and whine in front of the Queen's Park, and they want the provincial government to investigate the Brampton U and blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is getting, she pulled a Jeff Bowman is what I call it, right? It's like Jeff did the same thing.
Well, they're all part of the same, I'm going to call them cabal now, right? It's when you decide to leave city council, leave, right? Don't work behind the scenes and try to pull your strings and get your way. Everybody involved in the core campaign are all the folks who broke the municipal law. Right. And it's ridiculous that, they are continuing to cause the kind of chaos that we saw while the group of six had their majority. And, I don't think there's a chance that they can, the core can become mayor, but the issue I have are the people surrounding her, because we all know Core's not pulling the strings here, right?
No, of course not.
In her debate at the Board of Trade, she kept referring to we when we get elected. Who's we? Who's we,
exactly.
Don?
Yeah, I'd like to see who we are actually voting for, because we know who the we is now. Elaine Moore is behind there. You got Marcel Weider, Nick Cavalis. You got people like John Sanderson, who's running in 3-4. We're going to talk to Dennis Keene, who's running against him. But at the same time, if you're running a campaign, it's not what we are going to do when we get in there. It's what I'm going to do, and that's very telling. It's almost very Freudian that she's come out and we. We're not voting for a we. You're voting for a person, right? And that to me is a red flag, a huge red flag for anyone voting for this person. It's like, we're not voting for we. We don't know who the other people are behind the scenes that are going to be pulling the strings. Because let's face it, from what I heard of the debate that she was attending at the Brampton Board of Trade, reading from notes, I mean, sorry, but you know what? I could get a chimpanzee to do the same thing.
And, running to Queen's Park at this late stage in an election campaign just reeks of desperation. And they might not see that, but when you have a mayoral candidate running to Queen's Park saying, hey, can you investigate? That is what we have an election for, right?
Well,
for the voters to actually make the decision.
What are you investigating? It was an investigation put forward by the group of six with no founding. Pat Fortini found an envelope in his mailbox saying, oh, look, there's some receipts and so on and so forth. So the gang of six basically decided, to use their majority to have an investigation. They didn't find anything. It was cost $100,000 for the taxpayers. And then now they want, it was shut down by council in a legal vote. And it was like, now they want the Queen's Park to step in for what? There's no investigation. There's nothing there.
It's a stunt.
It's
a stunt to get attention. They obviously got our attention, but we're calling it out, right? Yeah, Toronto media have no idea what they're doing here in Brampton.
Well,
they smell something, they can get some clickbait, and then they put a story together that is a rehash of stuff that's happened in the last month. It's not even, there's nothing in that Star article that I saw that kind of inflamed all this that's new. It's just more clickbait nonsense from Toronto media that comes here and tries to make our city look bad every single time they come here.
And they said the mayor shut down the investigation. No, it was a council decision that was voted on, and the council majority voted no, not to continue.
And one of the reasons they voted not to continue is because the draft report that was out, the auditor or the accounting firm wanted another $50,000 to convert it from draft to final.
Right.
Right. Everything you want to know is in there, and what's in there is so inaccurate, right?
Well, it's an auditing firm. It's basically that's all they're doing is they're auditing. It's not a criminal investigation. It's not even an investigation that you would call it. All it is an audit.
They got their political results out of this, right? It's to just dish dirt on the people who they don't like.
Yeah, and to me, it's a ridiculous scenario, and it's like something like that. Doing the same thing Bowman did a few weeks ago. Yes, that's exactly right, Justin. It's like enough of these unhinged. To me, it's like, where are the Toronto media? If you're going to report on something, maybe do a little background check and talk to people that know what the hell's going on in the city,
especially at this late stage in the election. They're basically trying to affect people's voting decisions. And this is the Toronto Star, right? Which is, runs Torstar Media or Metroland Media, which is Brampton Guardian is part of that. They get $600,000 from the city, and now they're trying to play with our election.
No, it's more than 600,000. By the way, it's over $700,000 that they get, right? And what do they do, right? So that's a joke. The other one is Gurpreet Dillon. On the weekend there was advanced.
By the way,
polling.
Don, you got the wrong label down there. Dennis is not on yet.
Not on yet, but he will be on soon, right?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, we're gonna sort of go, and then we'll talk to him effectively. But at the same time, it's okay. He's coming up. He knows the thing is there. But at the same time, Gurpreet Dillon, the Gore polling station was open, and here you had Gurpreet Dillon. There was a group called 74 No's, which is 74 NOS. They've been basically calling out Gurpreet Dillon on a sexual harassment case, and Gurpreet Dillon had a whole bunch of people campaigning and showing signs on Gore Meadows. That's a polling station. Where was security? Because they're not allowed to do that.
And, I'm a little concerned that we're going to see more of this on election day. And there's nobody saying anything from the city clerk's office, from the provincial government. You cannot, the law specifically says you cannot have signs or campaign at a polling station. They did it. And what are the consequences? Right? It doesn't seem like there are any. And so if this election is close, if Gurpreet Dillon wins by a handful of votes, to me, I think there's justification to disqualify him.
Well, it's like, there's this comment, I know the Brampton today, Nikki Carr's team attacks police chief for false claims. I mean, we were going to cover that. There was a tweet that he put out just last night. You showed it to me, and that tweet is in the Brampton article. I mean, to me, this campaign is unhinged. These are supposed to be the best campaign managers across Canada. They came in, said, we're the best. We know what we're doing. We're going to bring a top-notch team. Man, oh man, these guys, to me, you're insulting the police chief. You're insulting the chair of the police services board. You're insulting, who else did he insult? There's a few of them, but it's like,
Warren Kinsella for retweeting something, and it's he's always insulting Patrick Brown. This is a personal vendetta, and he's using a mayoral campaign to launch his personal vendetta. And then there are Bramptonians involved in that campaign that, to me, they should just be embarrassed to be anything associated with that campaign.
Yeah, and this is a ridiculous scenario. These are the same people that say we don't want negative news for Brampton. These are the people that are actually doing the negative news for Brampton, and they're doing it on purpose because they want to push their agenda forward. It's
when the University of Guelph-Humber decision came out last week, which in itself is some kind of political decision. You don't make announcements like that during a political campaign without having ramifications for the politicians who are running for office. Yeah. And so for that campaign to kind of say, oh, look at what they've done. It's like, again, that's the reason why University of Guelph isn't coming here, because there's so much negativity with having a university here.
Well, and we mentioned that before. About a year ago, we mentioned about all the negativity coming down from city council. If I was a business, would I want to relocate here and try and do business in Brampton with this city council? No, it's a ridiculous scenario.
Don, you and I were at the mayor's event yesterday, and one of the things that I caught from the mayor's speech was that he's looking to get a council that is going to be more pro Brampton as opposed to anti anything, right? So there are 3 council seats up for grabs. Is it 3? Jeff Bowman's, Doug Willens, and Charmaine Williams. At least 3. And so maybe this is a good time to bring Dennis Keenan on because he is running to replace Jeff Bowman. Let's see if Don can operate the controls. Go ahead.
I know what the hell I'm doing.
Well, now you got to remove the title there, otherwise we can't see Dennis's face.
All right. Well, remove the title. How do I remove the title? That's a big one, right?
Oh no. Well, just drag his face where mine is because nobody needs to see me.
That's all right. Okay, we can do that. So we can do this. Dennis, how are you doing today? Anyway.
No. We got everybody's got to see Dennis. Just drag. Okay, sorry everybody.
No, that's no good. We don't like that.
No, just drag his face over yours, and then we'll see him.
That's okay. Hold on.
We're getting there.
There. How about that?
Okay, that's better. Yeah.
Okay.
You're down at the bottom. Where you belong.
All right, Dennis. So anyway, Dennis, you're running Ward 3 and 4 City Councilor. It's a whole bunch of people in there. How are you doing? What are you hearing at the doors?
You know what? We're doing great. We're working hard. Our message is resonating with residents. We're listening to their concerns, and the momentum is building day by day. Things are just getting better and better. So we're happy to see where we are. We got some great support. We got a great team, and everybody's working as hard as we can to make sure that I can get elected so that we can do the right things for Brampton.
Now, I asked you before, what are you hearing at the door? What are concerns of the residents at the door?
You know, there's quite a few. I'll be honest. A collaborative council is one of the main concerns. Making sure that council is going to work together when elected to make sure that we can actually push things through and get things done for Brampton. We're hearing a lot about road safety. Road safety is huge. I don't think it's just a Wards 3 and 4 concern. I think it's an all of Brampton concern. Property standards, bylaw, we're hearing a lot about. So I would say those are the main concerns, as well as what's going to happen with property tax has been a big thing. So there's a lot of small issues, a lot of larger issues. But for the most part, I would say road safety and property standards and bylaws is a lot of what we're hearing.
So property taxes, I know Patrick Brown, he went, and I know 4 years, 0% tax increase. People want a whole bunch of things and it costs money. So tax increases, doing stuff without tax increase, sometimes it's a chicken and egg scenario. But at the same time, you were at a Brampton Board of Trade debate. John Sanderson, who was a regional councillor, for many, many years in Brampton, decided to come out of semi-retirement after, 8 years not being on council. The Brampton Board of Trade debate, there was something he said in regards to taxes, which I found interesting. You might want to reiterate that because you were there.
Yeah. So there was something that came up about property taxes, and he was concerned about the 4 zeros. He said it didn't work for Brampton. I don't want to quote him verbatim. And then he stated that he would increase taxes to the current cost of inflation. That's ridiculous. I quickly
I know what the current cost of inflation is, but maybe the people out there don't know. What is the current rate of inflation?
The current rate of inflation is about 7.2% to date.
Right.
So to really put that in perspective, and I said this in the debate, I said, COVID wreaked havoc on the country, the world, and Brampton didn't get to dodge any bullets, that's for sure. And what we're seeing is the cost at the pumps, the cost of groceries has gone up 22%. Everything has gone up. And I just, how do you justify a 7.2% increase to property taxes to Brampton residents?
Well, that would be just the city portion, and then on top of that, you have the regional portion.
Of course,
right.
and then the education portion.
Well, the education is normally zero. I don't think I've seen a raise in educational portion for I don't know how many 20, 30 years. So
of course, but the main concern for me is maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You could have done that type of raise at 0.5% or 1%, but it just shows where the mentality is, right?
Well, not heading into 2023, all indications are there's a possibility of a recession as well, so that's not going to bode very well. But give me a little bit about your background, because the thing about you, Dennis, is you're a business owner, and there hasn't been a lot of there's been a lot of like what I call paycheck politicians or professional politicians that sit in that seat, have no idea about running a business, about financing. Give us a little bit about your background as well.
Yeah, so I'm an immigrant to Canada. We arrived here in Brampton in the early '90s. We had a tough time with the recession, which put I was brought up in Peel nonprofit housing. I started a business about 15 years ago, and through that I became pretty successful. And I've employed hundreds of people. We grew it from an $800 paycheck to a multi-million-dollar company. And you know, I'm putting that on the back burner to come in here and try to do what's right for residents. Somebody that has a business background, experience in procurement and financial responsibility, to actually be able to, someone that can actually go through the budget and poke holes in it and see where we can save money. I've been doing it for a long time, dealing with my executive team to do so and our accountants. And I just feel that this is something that I can bring to the table. I'm not doing this because I'm looking for a career change. Trust me, I'm not doing this because I need a paycheck. Well, I'm doing this because I love the city.
One of the big things that Faz and I, we go through every time, go through the budget scenario, and we go through what's in the budget line items. One of the big things that we found is a lot of councillors, they don't go through the budget, they don't understand. And you and I know, if you're dealing with city staff and they want to hide stuff, it's not a problem to hide stuff in different areas. You know, one of the big things that, you know, has got my craw over the last couple of years is the Friends of Bovaird House in the barn. $1 million allocation for a barn, basically a rotting wood. The Pendergast cabin, they didn't put that through the capital allowance through the budget, so people would not see it. It went through assets, so it's a totally different line item. It doesn't even show up on your capital cost.
Dennis, I think what Don is trying to say, are you in favor of the barn?
Right to it. No, that bothered me significantly when that motion was passed. We gotta pull apart what it is, right? It's not just a barn. It was passed as a heritage barn in Brampton. It's actually a barn from Caledon. So it's not our heritage. And I don't want to get anybody confused. I am for preserving Brampton heritage where it makes sense. But I can't justify spending $1 million of Brampton's taxpayers' money on a barn from Caledon to put old tractors in that won't be generating any revenue for the city. It'll actually be costing us money year over year. That's not something that Brampton needs. I can tell you, I can give you a list of things that residents are asking for that $1 million can go towards.
Let's talk about the downtown core and the regeneration of the downtown core and tie it in with a little bit of the heritage, because I know years ago, the Heritage Theatre in the downtown core, you want to preserve heritage? I would have no problem preserving that theater and putting $1 million into that theater to help build the downtown core and regenerate it. What are your thoughts on downtown regeneration?
Yeah, I think it's something that's overdue. I think that there could be more programming and grants put in place for businesses to be successful in the downtown core. It needs to be cleaned up. I think I would definitely try as hard as possible to push a mandate that we would get a grant process going for small businesses with collaboration from the community to see what they want down there. When we look at heritage, I see a lot of things being preserved in areas that nobody's visiting. And I think we really need to look at that. There could be a lot of money brought in with cash in lieu of certain heritage that doesn't make sense to actually put into programs like the Heritage Theatre that's not costing the taxpayers. We need to be able to do these programs by not raising taxes, but it needs to be done. I personally put a plan together to be a staple in the downtown, and it's taken 11 months to bring it to any kind of fruition. We need to cut through that. We need to make the process quicker for businesses and drive them in, especially to the downtown core. We know that we have an amazing downtown, but if we want it to look like the downtown in Oakville or Port Credit, we need to put time, we need to put effort, and we need to put resources behind it. And I think that that's something that I will lead the charge on.
One of the big things, I mean, years ago, when I was campaigning along with Faz at the same time, was the Queen Street corridor, intensification and densification of the Queen Street corridor. Do you have any thoughts on that? Any plans? Any ideas?
So for me, I like to touch on things that I'm experienced in and know about, and I am for vertical construction and density, because in order to revitalize the downtown core, we need to make sure that we have people there. People that can support the businesses, the small shops, and actually give us that kind of feel that we're looking for. But I'm big on making sure that we're putting construction and development where it fits. And we got to listen to the residents too. It's the most important thing. If we're putting big buildings in pockets of the community that they don't make sense, we got to look at that. We can't just put it in there because somebody owns a pocket of land and they want to put a thing in. And we got to talk to the Ontario government about when we turn it down, that they're kind of pushing their mandate about their housing, which I agree we need, but it has to be done right. It has to be planned properly. And the process needs to be quicker. We got to bring in these planners that we're missing. I think we're short 9 to 12 planners at the city. We got to figure out why they're leaving and what we can do to keep them. We got to bring that talent in. We got to make sure that our plans are what the city needs and requires in order for our growth into the future.
Well, I think there's a lot of positions open. Let's see. The CAO, current CAO, is replacing the one that the 6 fired. We need an integrity commissioner. We need a director of planning. And I think we need a director of communications as well, right off the top. So, you know, why
wasn't there a director of HR and a director of HR as well? Yeah.
Director of, and the city solicitor as well. We need they were fired too. Now the reason they're leaving is because the 6 actually fired them all. Right. So going back to the original thing where you hear at the doors, you know, people want stability. I think that stability starts, you know, in city council chambers where they're not fighting between themselves and they're firing, you know, staff that basically it's not a good look if you're trying to attract the best and the brightest.
Of course. No, it's not. We also got to look at what is that costing the taxpayer every time we turn over senior executive staff at the city. You know, it for us, it's costing us a lot of money.
Well,
you know,
we're still paying Peter or Harry Schlang $350,000-$60,000 a year, and he was fired how many years ago?
Yeah, no, it's true. It happens. I think mostly what residents need is transparency. If we're going to be letting people go, first of all, it has to be for the right reason. You can't let people go that are doing their jobs. If we're going to let them go, it's got to be transparent on where these funds are coming from. We can't keep taxes well below the cost of inflation by just circulating executive staff at the city all the time.
No. You mentioned building and high rises. I know there's a couple of plans for high rises in the downtown core. There was a couple of delegations from people that live in the condo tower there saying they didn't want a condo tower going up around that area because it would block their view. What's your point of view on densification in that area on Wellington, around Wellington?
So for me, I think the biggest thing here is we have to listen to the residents in the area and does it fit? What are the plans? What are the impacts on the community? What are the impacts on our roads? Does our current infrastructure, can it handle it? Talking about roads, traffic, congestion. What are the future plans for the transit coming in? We have to look at all of these items before we can render opinions if the actual projects are good for the city or not, right? I think it's a bigger approach than just a short answer of me saying, yes, I agree or yes, I don't. Quite frankly, as a councillor, my job is to amplify and fight for the residents in the area. And if it's right for them, then it's right for me.
So let's bring up something that basically, you know, was a very hot topic in 2014-15, the HMLRT. We turned down, that current council turned down $350 million from the province to bring it up to the GO station, which would connect it north, south, several GO stations at the same time, which would have intensified and densified, and you would have brought it through the downtown core. Mm-hmm. I know a councillor said he wouldn't vote for it because basically he wouldn't get reelected, right? But that situation, it's good for Brampton as a whole. Like, yes, you have to represent your constituents, but at the same time, you're representing Brampton on a larger stage as well, and for all Bramptonians. Absolutely.
The one thing that you could count on with me being a city councillor is the fact that I'm not here for a job. I'm not here looking for re-election. I'm here to make the right decisions that I feel and the community feels are the right right decisions for Brampton. And I think that's the problem. I think the problem is there are people that are there that want to do this their whole life. That's not me.
There have been people that basically have done that their whole life. That's the whole thing.
And when they leave, they can't stay away.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not my approach. When we talk about the LRT, I have been door knocking down that main corridor on Main, obviously, and the residents, they're for the LRT, just not above ground. I know it's a $1.2 billion more expensive to put it underground. And the way that I feel about it is, the province should be ponying up. When we look at how much the province is spending in other municipalities on underground rail, I don't see why they can't pony up for Brampton, and to do that. I think we're owed it. We were owed the hospital. They fought for that. We're getting it. Great. But we're owed so much more. And it's going to be our jobs to keep on pushing to make sure that we're advocating at the other levels of government to make sure we're getting the proper funding for the infrastructure we need in our city.
Well, let's talk about.
So Denny, I can't vote for you because I'm in Ward 2-6. Don can't vote for you because he's in Wards 7-8. So for those people who are watching in Wards 3-4, why should they vote for you?
Because you're going to get someone that listens and cares. You're going to get someone that shows up. You're getting someone that is doing this because he's passionate about the city. You're not getting a politician that is trying to build a career here. You're getting somebody that has experience in running businesses and bringing a different perspective that's missing on council, from everything, from the infrastructure, from our budgets. But most importantly, you're going to have someone that's fighting for you. I got 4 little kids. Today is my 10-year wedding anniversary. And my wife and I were planning on being on a beach by ourselves, sipping on drinks. And we're here.
Why would you want to do that? You're here in Brampton. That's a ridiculous scenario. That's insanity. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now?
Well, you know what? That's the decision we made, and that's what we're doing. We've been out door knocking together on our 10-year anniversary. My wife has been incredible through this process. We've sacrificed quite a bit over the last 75 days to do this. I couldn't do it without her support. So it's something that I cherish about my wife is the fact that we're both passionate about the city, and our children are getting to see that, if there's something that you love and care about, you fight to make sure you can protect it. And that's what people are going to get, not just in me, but in my family. We know the sacrifice that we're giving up, and we're willing to do it. And the city of Brampton will have 110% of my attention over the next 4 years.
Well, thanks for joining us, Dennis. Good luck on the campaign trail. You've got there's this weekend, I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can go vote ahead of time before October 24th.
Friday and Saturday. I don't think Sundays.
Oh,
Yep.
no?
Friday, Saturday. Yeah. Friday, Saturday.
I'll have to take a look and see. Maybe I'll go out and vote.
we would appreciate it. I know you're not in my award, but there's
that's okay. I know who I'm voting for in 7 and 8. Trust me. But anyway, good luck, Dennis, on the campaign trail. We'll hopefully on the October 24th, you'll have your name there, and we'll be able to talk to you further when you get a council seat.
When you become a politician.
Oh yeah,
become a politician.
Well, guys, I thank you so much for allowing me to be on here and giving me the platform to speak to residents. Thank you so much.
Not
guys.
a problem, buddy. As long as you got a platform and you can talk intelligently, we have no problem for you coming on. No big deal. Thanks very much, and good luck, Dennis.
Thank you.
All right, Faz. So you're stuck in your car in traffic. How many
getting
illegal
darker,
signs?
you can barely see me.
How many? No, we're good. How many illegal signs have you seen so far?
Well, on this street, everybody looks like they've been behaving themselves. It's all on the correct side of the sidewalk, so not bad.
All right, so that's been.
And in my neighborhood, by the way, I know last week we talked about signs.
Yes.
And Bob Desange had signs all over the place. A few other people did. The city, I'm assuming it was the city, cleaned it all up. So all those illegal signs that were out that first couple of days are all gone.
All right, well, we'll see what's going on.
Good job on the city.
Sign wars are just started, basically, I guess. And don't forget, I think like I said, Dixie and Sandalwood, the 74 No's are going to be there, which is a group protesting Gurpreet Dillon and the sexual harassment. So they're going to be at Gore Meadows this weekend, Dixie and Sandalwood, I think on Saturday and Sunday. So if you want more information, go to their website. They're protesting, as I said, Gurpreet Dillon and sexual assault. Saturday,
especially if you live in wards 9 and 10. Like, I'm kind of glad 74 No's is around. I think they started a bit too late to get the kind of attention they need. But you do not want to vote for Gurpreet Dillon. Just as a reaction, as we saw last weekend, to having a whole bunch of men out there intimidating the women that were part of the protest is just unacceptable.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. And the thing is, we put out a video saying he wasn't found guilty. He was never charged. That's because basically the assault happened in Turkey, in Istanbul. She didn't want to press charges in Istanbul and deal with the Turkey there. So basically she got on a plane and left. And as a result, she didn't lay charges there, and the police over here could not lay charges. That's the only reason the charges were not laid against Gurpreet Dhillon. And he was found guilty of sexual harassment by the Integrity Commissioner. He voted to fire her, which was a conflict, code of conduct conflict. There's a whole bunch of things that basically he's talking about, and he's talking about basically out of his ass. And someone like that should not be on city council. Just like the last Integrity Commissioner said, if it was up to her, he would be gone. So we'll be on next Tuesday, regular hour, Tuesday at 6:30. Hopefully Faz will be back.
We might actually also do Thursday, right? Because there's a lot going on.
We might, because we
week,
might do it before the 24th, and we'll do something after. But going forward, I'm sure there's going to be a couple of more crazy things coming out of the car camp. They seem to be self-destructing at a implosion rate, so that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it fun. It's like a car crash almost.
Well, it's desperation. To me, that's a desperation move, and it just shows you how little they have in substance when they have to go to that end. So in the meantime, Faz, I'll let you get home. We'll end the broadcast, and we'll see everybody on next Tuesday at 6:30. Thanks for joining us.